I'm Darren.
I'm Derek, and this is the Double D Podcast. So, Battle on the Border, Night of Champions,
BTOB.
BTOB. That's where I was at.
I was unfortunately unable to make it due to family circumstances.
But I made it. Made sure to make it. Make sure the Double D Podcast representation was out there. We were also with my girlfriend, Sophia, with my dad. Big Daddy and Big Mama Woo Woo were also there. They've only been on, I think, on like 2 episodes of the podcast in total, but they were there with us. They were not wrestling fans when they came in, but they were when they left.
Yep. I never expected that.
I didn't
Same
either.
with Sophia. I didn't ever expect her to be in.
Well, I'll explain later why she's a wrestling fan. There's a specific reason why she's a wrestling fan.
I bet she's happy she went now, though.
Well, that's what she said afterwards. She said before that, though, that she was having a good time. I mean, it's hard not to have a good time at Battle on the Border. Any professional wrestling event, anyway, but Battle on the Border had a really good atmosphere.
Yeah, Battle on the Border is just one of those things where you get there and you're like, man, this is actually pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a great time. That was Dad's first indie wrestling show.
Really?
He always went to the big name wrestling shows, never went to any of the smaller ones. So he was really excited just to get to see that. And
I bet that was really kind of a little bit different. Well, yeah, I went to the AEW. That big change from
there's definitely a difference between AEW and Battle on the Border. There's no doubt about that. But that difference it's a good difference.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
you get to see AEW, which is a highly televised program, and the wrestlers have been, wrestling for years, and they put their work in, and the work is immaculate. It's usually really smooth. Same with WWE.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Battle on the Border, which, to be completely honest with you, I feel like is an unfair representation of what most indie shows are like, because I told Dad this when we were there. It runs like a TV show. It's very smooth.
Oh, yeah.
There's very little confusion about what's going on. You know what's going on at all times. I feel like and I've only been to one indie wrestling show, so I don't know this for sure, but I just feel like this is one of the best ran independent wrestling shows that could possibly be. It's very smooth, and I don't know, it kind of felt like, I told Dad, like, he runs it like Denham runs it like it's a TV show.
Well, that's what you got to do to make your show pop compared to the others.
Yeah, and it definitely helps with the flow of things. But if you're just a wrestling fan, you know what I mean. It's the flow is something that's important. So, where do you want me to start? Since you weren't there, you know about as much as we know a little bit more. Because I told you about it. But you know, if you were, what questions you got? Where do you want me to start?
Well, so shit.
Good start. How about I'll explain when we got there.
Yeah, start when you got there.
It's up at River's Edge in Cleves, Ohio. And I don't know if you guys have ever been there, but if you have, then you know it's like they have the indoor soccer fields. They play like football, lacrosse, soccer. We play all these things there. And one of those fields, they had the wrestling ring in the middle. When we got there, because we unfortunately got there a little bit later than we planned on. I mean, I'm usually really good about being places on time. I was not this time. And I wasn't late. But I was definitely later than I wanted to be, because by the time I got there, all the seats next to the ring were full. So we had to stand, which was not a problem with any of us. I mean, also the good thing about it being with being on those fields is that actually, if you stood far enough back and you sat, you probably could still see the ring.
Oh, really?
So I mean, even if you did get tired, you could kind of just sit down and watch. Or if you took up by a wall and sat, you could probably still see the ring. But nobody who was standing, I think, did that, because everybody wanted to be right there, see the action up close. And that's another good thing. There's not a bad spot in the house, no matter where you're at, because everyone's so close. There was a lot of people. I now know that it was over 300 people, which is a lot of people. More people than when we went in December.
Oh yeah, there probably wasn't even close to 100. There might have been 100 there.
I would say it was probably floating right under. Maybe.
Because there wasn't very many people at that one at all.
But like I said before, probably not on a podcast, but the next day there were more people there.
Yeah.
We went on a Friday. There was a 2-night event, and we went on a Friday and a Saturday. The Friday, I think, was the smaller show because people had work, and then Saturday was the bigger show. And I seen pictures and stuff on Facebook. There were more people at that one than the one we went to. But this one was there was a lot of people, and it was a very loud audience. They were very into it, which definitely helped the experience. Because I mean, if your first wrestling show was one and the crowd was not loud and into it, you'd probably be let down. It helped a lot if the crowd was into it.
Oh yeah, you gotta have your crowd into it.
They were loud. Beer sales probably helped that a little bit, I'm sure.
Oh, I guarantee it.
So I mean, there was a lot of drinking going on, but hey, everybody was having a good time. There was no drama. You know, there was no G.I. Jane instances at all or anything. You know, there was no slapping people for nothing. It was a great time when I got along. I mean, in the ring there was some fighting going on, but you know, they signed up for it.
That's skunked.
Why did you drink a beer?
I don't know. I just really wanted to.
I didn't even think about it until I thought about it.
And that's bad news bears.
I didn't think about it until I thought about it. Put that on a T-shirt and sell it.
Well, the thing is, I forgot my water when I came out here, and I'm like, I got something to drink. Well, it's a good thing I have one over here.
I was gonna say, there's also 2 full cases of beer right here.
That one's skunked.
Oh,
That's the one I just had one out of.
Oh, you just opened that one? I thought that was already open.
No, I just opened this one. That one was just open too.
Oh, okay. All right. So let me pull up my phone because I was able to find the match.
Man, Mr. Paps.
Not a sponsor. The first could be. I mean, you know, hey, if you want to call us Mr. Paps. First match was Pompano Joe versus Lemmy, also known as LSD. That's what he goes by. This was the Zero Gravity Tournament qualifying match, I think. It was a good match. Like I said before, I always grew up watching high-flying wrestling. I know some people don't necessarily like high-flying wrestling. I love it. And I love this match. It was great. It was different from what we've seen the last time. I mean, I think you would have enjoyed it. There was definitely more. There was definitely more high spots than usual. It wasn't the most high-flying thing I've ever seen, but it was still very good and much different than what we've seen the last time. Definitely different from the rest of the card too.
Right.
Like I think from that point on, there really wasn't much high-flying, which isn't a bad thing. I'm not against that. I grew up watching it, so I'm way more used to it than not seeing it. So getting to see this, it was a great opener too, because I mean it was a high action. You know, it was a good match. Pompano Joe was the one that won, not LSD, which was unfortunate because I just wanted him to win based off the fact his name was LSD.
Yeah.
I think it's Lemmy San Dimas, and then he shortens it and it's LSD. And it's funny because he comes out and he's dressed in like hippie clothing. He has like a man bun. It's also funny too because if you go to River's Edge, you know where there's like where the sidelines would be on like. You've been there.
Yeah.
You walk in the farthest one, like if you look straight after you come around that corner, the farthest one.
Yeah.
That's where the ring was, and they had like a barricade up. So where the wrestlers were coming out of, there was a little like step, and I don't think now, it's possible that the wrestlers knew about it and just tripped on it on purpose to get laughs. However, I have the sneaking suspicion that for whatever reason, they didn't know about it. And so there were some legitimate trips.
Oh, really?
It made it really funny because I swear every single wrestler tripped on it at least one time.
That's awesome.
Which made it even better. And there was a really funny instance a little later on I'll talk about, but I feel like every single one of them tripped. And that made it even funnier. But anyway, that was the first match. It was a good first match. But unfortunately, my man LSD did not take home the victory. The next match was King Bomani, who I've become actually a pretty big fan of myself.
I really like King Bomani.
I really
King.
When I first seen him, when we went the last time, I wasn't 100% sure how to feel. But this one, he really let himself be himself a little bit more. I feel like at the last one, maybe he was supposed to be, maybe he didn't, because he only had that one match, and I feel like he didn't talk much, right?
Yeah, he didn't talk much, but he
Maybe
still talked quite a bit, you know.
For whatever reason, I just remember this one, I don't know, he really won me over on
Could have been that liquid courage.
He really, I don't know, I'm not making it, whoa. Never said that, I didn't see any wrestlers drinking now, come on.
No, I'm just fucking around. Just fucking around here.
But King Bomani wrestled, he came out with Sergeant Ledbetter, which if you watched the last episode, you know that Denham fought Sergeant Ledbetter. King Bomani came out with Sergeant Ledbetter, who, by the way, is also a very nice guy, unless he's in the ring or wrestling,
Well,
or talking to the crowd.
All of them, I'm sure, are nice guys unless they're in the ring. Except.
Whoa, we'll wait.
Except.
But I really like this match. Tim Lutz did not. King Bomani, of course, got the victory.
Of course, he's the king.
He is the king for a reason. He's not called King Bomani for no reason. And
my favorite wrestler, besides another wrestler that we'll mention later on.
He really, like I said, for whatever reason, I don't know, like the crowd being in such a great mood definitely helped. And it's not that I didn't like Joe Pompano or LSD or don't like Tim Lutz. They did fine too, but I don't know, there's something about King Bomani's, like, the way he holds himself, the character, like, he's just got this swag about him.
Yeah, we like them all. We like them all but one, and then we favor another one.
Yeah, he's just a really good wrestler. And it was a good match. It was kind of one-sided. King Bomani kind of handled Tim Lutz pretty well, but Tim Lutz got a couple of nice shots in there.
I figured he would.
Got a couple of nice shots in there, and he definitely did not cower down. He got right up in his, King Bomani's face, tried to get a win, but he lost.
You just can't.
It also
helped. The king, man.
The Sergeant Ledbetter was out there. Maybe he interfered and helped a little. But hey,
don't be framing the king for cheating.
I didn't see nothing.
Come on now.
I was just saying that it definitely helps when you have someone out there. Now, the next match was actually a sleeper one that I was not aware. I did not know how I was going to feel about it. It was the Marquee Players against Amos and Justin Xavier. Now, this match, I love tag team wrestling. It's another thing I really like. And I didn't know how to feel about this one because we did get to see a tag team.
Yeah, we seen the tag team with that.
We did.
What's that dude? Big. I can't remember his name.
Anyway, this match was an amazing match. Now, there was no winner of this match.
No winner?
The ref called it because there was just chaos.
Oh, really?
Chaos ensued. The wrestlers were on the outside fighting each other. They started fighting back towards the back. They were just fighting all over the place. Like, it was a madhouse. There was no winner. The referee had to call. He couldn't keep them in the ring, and it was a title match.
Oh, shit.
And the Marquee Players could have won the titles, but they lost the titles. Or didn't lose the titles, my bad. They didn't have the titles. They didn't win the titles. And because it was a count out, it was a disqualification, the referee couldn't hold them in. But they fought from the ring all the way to the back. And there was no winner. But it was amazing. It was such a good match. It was a sleeper match that I did not expect. It's not that I didn't think I would enjoy it, because it was just, I don't know. I didn't know what I was expecting, but I got so much more than I was expecting.
So it was a lot more, how do you say it? Not following the rules like the last tag team match we watched when they were in.
Yeah, no.
Where they actually somewhat followed the rules, but didn't. Still
Yes.
kept getting out of the ring and getting chaotic.
Yes, it was a very good. It was chaotic, but there was a lot of action. There was some trickery going on, but yeah, it was a great match.
Hey, it would be a tag team without trickery.
Exactly. I mean, if you have an extra partner on your side,
might as well use them.
It was a great match. Again, like I said, tag team wrestling is great, and it's not that I did not think I was going to like it, but I liked it a lot more than I thought, and that will come into play a little bit later on. This match will come into play a little bit.
I really enjoy the tag team wrestling, getting in there.
Tag team wrestling is the best. I love tag team wrestling. High fly wrestling and tag team wrestling are where it's at.
That's the one thing I was disappointed in when we went to the AEW, was the high flying was not there.
Yeah, there wasn't
either. So.
You didn't get to see the high flying that like me and my dad got to see when we went.
Yeah.
But there is high flying in AEW, but the tag team wrestling in AEW is on another level.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, they have the best tag teams. They have the Hardy Boys wrestle there now. The Young Bucks, FTR. They have the best tag teams in the world wrestle for AEW.
That would be awesome if Denham got one of the Hardy Boys over on his.
I mean,
that would be. I already love both of them. So that would be fucking awesome. I mean, especially Jeff Hardy. He's my favorite.
Well, I mean, there's a wrestler we're coming up that we're going to talk about later who's in a tag team. He's in a tag team with a guy named Griff Garrison in AEW.
So these guys are not only working for.
These wrestlers can work for multiple companies, because unless you work for like a WWE, WWE will make you work for only WWE. But other like AEW lets them work with other companies, and then like let's say you do work for Battle on the Border, well they don't do a show every week. and you have to get paid. So of course he's going to let you branch out and go wrestle for other people because I mean you're not. I'm sure they're signed to a contract.
Yeah.
But it's not like you have to wrestle for me and only me contract, you know.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it's great. That's how you got to get your name out there because otherwise these professional wrestlers would never get anywhere.
I tell you that I give them guys a lot of fucking credit though for that.
They put their body.
That's got to be some fucking work.
Well, like he said, like Denham said on the last episode, multiple matches a week for some of these guys. The travel takes a toll on your body.
Missing your family
you
takes a
all
toll.
need to constantly be working out and working and thinking about wrestling. It's a mental and physical toll. Wrestling is a tough sport.
Oh yeah,
there's no doubt about it.
Ain't no sissies doing that.
No, you cannot.
That's for
You
damn
have
sure.
got to be tough mentally, physically. You have got to be ready for the ultimate sacrifice to be professional wrestler.
Oh, for sure.
As far as it goes for being an athlete, I mean, this is one of the ultimate sacrifices. What I meant by that, I mean that's.
Yeah, especially when you're running. You're also
about,
running a lot too.
Yeah, you have to have stamina. You have to be tough. You have to be. I mean, like, you think about it. You know, football players have an extremely tough job. Baseball players have a tough job because of the schedule that they have. Basketball players play a lot of games. If you're an athlete, you are sacrificing your body. And professional wrestling is just the same. And
I think it's more.
People like to make fun of professional wrestling, and I get it to a certain extent. But but I get it because some people just didn't grow up with it. I got lucky; I grew up with it, so I know how much like professional wrestling is special in a lot of ways.
I'm unfortunately new to it, but I'm realizing that them guys actually fucking put in the work for this.
Yeah, people make fun of professional wrestling a lot, but you know, I mean, man, they put their bodies on the line just as much as a football player does, if not more. So I mean,
you don't see a football player running freaking back and forth on the damn because they got to on the ropes because they got to.
Well, I know. Well, yeah, I mean, it's a tough sport, and bad things have happened in professional wrestling matches that have led to people passing away. I mean, it's not a super safe sport.
Nope.
It all, you know, I'm not saying it's not a safe sport because it depends. You have to trust the guy who you're in the ring with. But accidents happen and everything.
I say
professional wrestling's no exception.
There's chairs and shit that
sometimes.
sometimes.
Well, not only that, I mean, just landing on your head wrong.
Oh,
I watched a guy when I watched TNA wrestling, Impact Wrestling. There was a guy named Jesse Sorensen who I think just got thrown out of the ring and he got his leg caught up on the rope and he landed head first.
Oh shit!
And he's paralyzed.
Damn.
And it was just a normal looking move. And it's not like anybody's fault, really. It's just a freak accident. There was Owen Hart, who was a wrestler back in the 90s. Well, the 90s. He used to come down on the, like a zip line type deal, right? Like he used to come down from the top and come down to the ring.
Yeah.
During a pay-per-view, he fell in front of a live audience on pay-per-view, hit his head on the ring, and died.
Damn.
Professional wrestling is to undersell it. It's easy to make fun of it on the surface if you don't actually watch it, but you know what it is.
Yeah.
But when you actually watch it and then talk to these people and get to know what they go through, it's a tough. You should not make fun of it after that.
Yeah, no.
That's all I'm saying. I mean, you know, you don't have to like it, but at least put a little bit of respect on these people. Joe Rogan has had Undertaker on. He talked about how many injuries he had, broken eye sockets. Legs broken, arms broken. I mean, kneecaps. There's a wrestler named Kevin Nash who has completely plastic kneecaps.
Holy crap!
He can barely walk because of wrestling. I mean, it is a tough thing to do, and they do it because they love it. They have no other reason. I mean, no other reason to do it. The money's not great, especially when you start out. If you're chasing that dream, you have to love professional wrestling because it's going to be a very tough start for your career.
Say it's not a job if you love what you're doing.
Because you have to work multiple dates in order to make money. Because I mean, it's just, you know, it's impossible to, you know. I'm not saying that there aren't indie companies that do pay well, but I'm just saying that they don't pay as well as like a WWE does.
Well, WWE and
or
fucking
right, multi-million dollars.
Fuck WWE.
AEW is the same, $1 million deals. I mean, these indie wrestlers have to work constantly and get paid in order to get paid enough. And I'm sure that there's definitely different levels. I mean, depending on how. I feel like nowadays it's probably better. Nowadays, there's probably more indie promotions are able to pay guys more. But I know back in the day for sure they did not pay well. But it also
depends on how it's ran.
Yes.
Like Denim and all those guys, they do a fantastic job, and they will probably continue to keep their crowd growing.
Yeah, and the wrestlers there have wrestled there for a long time and have a lot of respect for Denim, and that has to be because Denim knows how to treat them right. Because I've heard of stories that wrestlers have told about them, you know, going to the promoter. They'll go and wrestle, like they'll agree on a set, like, okay, well, we'll pay you $100 for your match tonight. They'll go out, they'll wrestle the match, and then afterwards they'll be like, all right, I'm about to head out. Can you pay me now? And they'll be like, well, we didn't make as much money as we thought, so I'm gonna have to only pay you $50. What that actually means is that I made enough money. I just don't want to pay you what I agreed to.
Yeah.
So I'm only gonna give you $50 because I want to make more money for myself. And that's how those wrestlers don't come back. The fact that the wrestlers do come back to Battle on the Border and want to work and promote it as much as they do, shows that they have respect for Denim, and they should, because it's a great time. It's a well-ran organization for sure.
Very well-ran.
The 2 times so far I've not been disappointed by quality or the way that the show works or the layout. It's very smooth. You can tell that they've had a lot of, and this show was even better than the first one we went to, and there was more people at this one, and it was a great time. It really was.
Yeah.
What are you looking at?
About 21 or 20, almost 22 minutes.
Well, I think maybe we should get a break from our sponsors before we jump into the next part, because it's only going to get better from. Wow, did you hear that? Wait. It's only gonna get better from here. So here's a message from our sponsors. Now, the next match that happened, we got a little off track on that last one. But the next match that happened was the one that we had been waiting for about a week before the show took place. A certain somebody was announced for the show. We mentioned him on the podcast when we were talking to Denim, and that's Brian Pillman Jr. Now, Brian Pillman Jr. works for AEW currently, and we were talking to him about how cool it was to see him there. Well, he was able to make it back and do a show. Like I said, AEW does that a lot. They have their top guys work independent wrestling shows sometimes, so it's not a surprise to see him here. It's where Brian Pillman got his start. His family doesn't live down the road, and I found out afterwards that Brian Pillman Jr. played lacrosse at Rivers Edge, so it's a homecoming completely.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I mean, it was a homecoming for him all the way around.
Wait, so he wrestled for?
Yeah, do you not remember when we talked about this on the podcast?
Bro, I've slept since then. I'm half.
Well, that doesn't make it sound very good. Yes, we talked about that Brian Pillman worked for Battle on the Border.
I'm half doofy sometimes. Everybody on the podcast knows that.
Yes.
So it's normal.
Brian Pillman has worked with Battle on the Border before, has wrestled. What was that?
I'm just making some sound effects.
And he came back and he wrestled the top heel of the company. Personally, if I were to pick anyone there who is my favorite, he was my favorite the last time and my favorite this time, Carson Drake.
Kiss ass.
Carson Drake, no, this is serious. Carson Drake, the last time we went out there, because there's an intermission in between, they go half, they'll do like 4 or 5, they'll 3-4 matches, and then they'll take a break, and then another 3-4 matches, right? So in between that break, the last one we went to, there were kids playing with basketballs because it was in a gym, and Carson Drake was running around with a megaphone, yelling at the kids, stealing the balls from them. It was a great time. He had to stop himself from laughing a couple of times from the kids' reactions and the things they were saying to him. And this time, he came out, and man, he was on fire. He came out because he came out first. And everybody knew what the match was, but Carson Drake's comes out and he says, he has the megaphone, and he's making fun of the crowd, and he's talking about how there's nobody in the company who can beat him, whatever, and everyone's yelling, Pillman, Pillman. And so Pillman comes on out, and it was pretty wild to see Brian Pillman at this place, because I mean, when I went to AEW when he was again in Cincinnati, he was there, he was on TV, and now getting to see him, and little did we know, the little group I was with, we're standing right next to his family the whole time and didn't even realize it until Carson Drake, mid-match, pointed out that was his family. He made a couple of jokes. He did something because, the wrestler, I didn't tell you this, so this will be a shock to you. This is going to make you hate him even more probably, because Darren, I think, might legitimately not like Carson Drake.
I don't like him for the wrestling.
Oh, you're playing a character too.
Your fans got
I hate Carson. This guy is such an ass. This guy's such an asshole. No, for real. What he did was he took a Razor Ramon, the wrestler that just passed away, took an action figure, and he said, "You know what I would think of Razor Ramon?" And he threw it on the ground and he stomped on it.
Oh shit!
And the joke he made about the family is he asked, this is how we found out. This is funny. So we're standing there, we're watching this match. Carson Drake says something along, I can't remember exactly what it was, but I think it was, and where's your bum ass family at or something, or who's a member of his bum ass family? And every single person that we were standing next to was going wild. We're like, what the fuck? And sure enough, the dude who was standing right next to my dad got a couple of chops in on Carson Drake. Carson Drake, Brian Pillman held his arms down and got a couple chops in on him. I mean, it was pretty wild. It was a pretty wild time.
I noticed during our interview, I called them slaps.
Slaps.
I couldn't remember the name.
Chops. Chops. But Brian Pillman obviously won this match.
Obviously.
I mean, come on.
Dude can talk, but he can't wrestle with shit.
Well, that's something else we'll get to in a minute. So, Brian Pillman wins. The place goes wild. The match was great. It was so much heat. Carson Drake was able to get booed out of the stadium. Brian Pillman was on fire. Everybody there loved the fact that he was back. It was really a wild time. And then right after that, the intermission hit. The intermission hits, and my dad goes over, talks to a couple of wrestlers. I went and talked to Denham, and Sophia was starting to tell me, my girlfriend started to tell me, I walked back over to her, and she was like, she said something along the lines of, that guy who was talking about Brian Pillman is really attractive or something. And I was like, well, do you want to go get a picture with him? I think he said that guy's really good. And I said something about the match being really good because Brian Pillman's a great wrestler. And I was like, yeah, the match was really good. And she was like, well, I wasn't really talking about the match. She was like, I'm talking about, he's an attractive guy. And I was like, what do you want to get a picture with him? And she was like, no, I'm good. And I was like, I'll give you the money. You can go get the picture. You can go get something signed. I was like, you can go. She was like, no, I'm good. And my dad forced her to. So she now has a picture. I'll send it to you so you can put it in the podcast.
Yeah, I'll put it at the end.
And yeah, he said, like, he pointed out my hair because we have mullets. Brian Pillman Jr. has a mullet, and I shook his hand, and he was like the hair. But then he shook Sophia's hand, and he introduced himself, Brian Pleasure.
Right.
Sophia was probably like, "Woo!" Dude, she would not stop talking about him the rest of the night. The rest of the whole, like, before she left, I gave her a hug. She was leaving, and she was like, Brian Pillman. I was like, what? Like, some bull crap. Brian Pillman stole my woman without even knowing it.
Hey man, he's a professional wrestler.
He has that effect on women. Women really love Brian Pillman. He's a young dude. He's 28. I know that only because Sophia told me.
How'd she find out?
Looked it up. 28 years old. He's a young, good-looking dude. So I mean, I get it. I was
just scoping out his age.
Well, you know, she just.
You're a hit.
She just wanted to know. She was interested to know. No. She does. Brian, if you're watching this, you gotta admire her. You gotta admire her. I mean, I like you too, but not that much now. Come on. It's a little. That's why I told her a little bit later. I was like, all right, he's good, but come on. A little ridiculous. But no, it was a great match, and he was a really nice dude. And yeah, he beat Carson Drake, which is great because Carson Drake has a loud ass mouth.
See, that's the one thing I regret the last wrestling event we went to.
Not getting a picture?
Not going up there and at least talking to any of them.
I didn't either during the intermission because I was really busy trying to get Sophia to do it. I was talking to Denham, so I didn't really get a chance to, which was my biggest regret during the intermission. However, I did later on, which I'll give also to you. And I won't talk about that too much because it's kind of going to be a little bit boring. But I'll send them to you so you can put them at the end of the podcast or whatever.
Well, I might insert them in the middle somewhere.
That's fine too. You can do whatever you want. You're the editor. You're the editor of the videos. I just do the audio here. All right. The next one was Ari Alexander against Super Oprah.
That's my shit right there.
That's who we talked about on the last one. Super Oprah's great. She's really entertaining. It was supposed to be Ari Alexander versus someone else, but unfortunately they couldn't make it to the show. So it was Ari Alexander versus Super Oprah. Super Oprah was also supposed to face somebody else, but you have to make these fast decisions when you're the owner. And this honestly was a good match. Unfortunately, I didn't actually get to see the most of it because during the beginning parts of this match was when Sophia was getting her picture with Brian Pillman. Am I boring you?
No.
Okay. So unfortunately, I didn't actually get to see all of this match. I got to see the ending. I didn't actually get to see most of the match because this is when me and Sophia were meeting Brian Pillman. So I didn't actually get to see this one, but Ari Alexander did get the win, which means she's the #1 contender for the women's title.
We need to take a break.
We need to take another break, everybody. We will be back. Alrighty, so we got 2 matches left on the card. And this one was the one that I was really excited about after I remembered it was on the card. Because sometimes it's hard to remember. It was the Golden Ticket Battle Royal. Now, this was like a Royal Rumble style for those that are wondering, where they come in one at a time. I think it was a minute apart, and there was, I want to say there was 20. I don't really remember. I remember most of the people that were there. I'm not going to go through the whole list, but I'll name some of the big ones. Carson Drake came out, and he said on his megaphone, he had his megaphone on, and he said, "I'm not going to get in the ring." He said, "What's the point? Why would I do that? Because I could just lose." So actually, I want to go back. I'm going to go back real quick. That LSD dude was there, and he was really smart, because what he did is he taped himself. He brought out duct tape, and he taped himself to the ring post on the outside. It was like, I can't get eliminated this way.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for him, everyone was just beating him up because he was at that point a sitting target.
Yeah.
So he did end up getting in the ring, and he did end up getting thrown out. Then Carson Drake came out, and he, like I said, on his megaphone said, "Oh, I'm not going to go in." Eventually, everybody got him to go in. He's like, "All right, I'll go in." So he did like a countdown, and then he ran in the ring, and then got thrown out immediately.
2 seconds.
Yeah, he was in it for a very short period. I don't even think he got to throw a move. Maybe he did, but it was very quick like that. It made a pretty good laugh. Because he was real confident, because he was like, I'm just gonna go in on the outside. Everyone was calling him a chicken, and then he got in and got thrown out.
Well, that was quick and easy, I guess.
Real quick, because he got real confident after that. He's like, "I'll get in. I'll show you guys how to do it." And then right over the rope. So he got thrown out. And then the tag team members of the tag team match from earlier on in the night, they were there.
Oh.
They all ended up getting eliminated. I think pretty much at the same time, real close to each other. And then they brawled on the outside of the ring.
Oh shit!
Right next to where we were standing. So there's a whole ass battle royal going on, and over here, there's just a whole group of, there's just these 4 guys just beating the hell out of each other. Just swinging on each other. It was wild. It was a crazy moment. I mean, it was. I was paying more attention to that, unfortunately, because there was so much going on. But in the ring was Robert Conway, who he then mentioned on the podcast last time.
Yeah.
And he was throwing everybody out, because before that point, there was like 8 or 9 people who were in the ring who had not been eliminated yet. Robert Conway got in there and was throwing everybody out. Unfortunately for him, King Bomani and Sergeant Ledbetter were in this battle royal.
Oh shit!
And met his match there, and the winner was Sergeant Ledbetter, which now means that he can cash in the golden ticket whenever he wants for whatever match he wants. Of course, he's going to go after the world title.
Oh yeah.
And what other title he get? He could go after the tag team titles, because him and King Bomani are friends.
Yeah.
I feel like if they met the tag team champions, I mean, King Bomani and Sergeant Ledbetter are pretty bad.
They would take it over.
Bad guys.
So they would have it.
But he could also go after the hardcore title, because he wrestles in that style, and that would fit him very well. So it'll be interesting to see how he decides to cash it in. After the match, he said that they were going to do free tickets for anybody wanted to go over there. So they stood off to the side, and they were there was kind of like a lull in the action, kind of like a second little break, real short, but you could go up and get your picture with these guys. And I and my dad and everyone else went over and got our pictures with the free pictures. I went over and got my picture taken, and at that time, the marquee players were also over there.
Oh yeah.
And I got my pictures with them.
Hell yeah.
So I have a picture. I'll send it to you. And my dad he was actually talking to me in one of the pictures. You can see him. He's looking at me, and I'm trying to look at the camera talking, and he's talking to me about stuff. It was a great time, though. I mean, that was great. I got my pictures with them. And then we got to the main event. 3 big dudes.
Big dudes.
Madman Fulton, who apologies, I don't remember his height or weight, but I want to say he was like 6'8", 300. and is the smallest man in the match. 6'5", 300, smallest guy in the match. Paxton Lynch is 7 foot. Congo Kong is a huge dude. You know Congo Kong. Huge
real
dude.
Big dude.
Real big dude. And they're all three powerful. We knew this match was going to be pretty crazy. There was a guy who, I have to look here real quick because I don't remember his name off the top of my head. Hold on, give me 1 second.
That was the match that I was super stoked,
Yes.
and then didn't get to watch. But
Okay,
that's
hold
okay.
on. I have to continue to look because it was known as...
Are you looking on Twitter?
David Barnbass Spector was this guy who on Facebook posted that he was going to create the greatest faction of all time. He was going to create the best, and that this was the best of the best that they had to offer. These are the three guys in the turn, in the world title match. So he's going to watch. So he was kind of just stalking the outside of the ring, kind of just walking around, kind of getting around with the crowd, just kind of looking, watching the match. Well, at one point, eventually, they end up going to the outside. And if you've ever been to River's Edge, again, there's like this middle section where there's like bleachers set up, and that's usually where fans will watch the soccer or football or lacrosse, whatever's being played. Well, they wrestled out into the concourse. And we're getting over towards where the concessions were. So all these fans are just running after them, just following them. And eventually they worked their way back towards the ring. There was chairs being used. People were being hit with chairs. There was a chair fight where these two, I believe it was Madman Fulton and Congo Kong. If I'm remembering right, I could be wrong though, who were using chairs and just swinging them at each other in the air.
Sword fight.
Yeah. And then they end up getting in the ring, and then there was this really cool spot where all three of them were on the turnbuckle, and they did all like at the same time suplexes, and I'm surprised the ring held up with how big those three dudes are, but it did. And then that Spectre guy walked towards the ring, and he handed Congo Kong a chain, and Congo Kong wrapped it around his head, and he hit Paxton Lynch. Before that happened, by the way, Bobby Fulton, the manager for Paxton Lynch, got hit. And then, like I said, Spectre ended up handing Congo Kong the chain. He hit Paxton Lynch with it, the big 7-foot dude, dropped him, and then pulled Madman Fulton on top of Paxton Lynch and walked away. But before he walked away, he got a little bit of money from that Spectre guy. Paid him off to make sure Madman Fulton won the match. So that means that Madman Fulton and I believe Congo Kong are a part of this little group. And he made a post on Facebook. They're just getting started. So I have a feeling there's going to be some wild things coming up for that little group. That match was insane. There were so many great spots. There was people being hit. You know those like buckets they give you to sell beer in when you buy a bucket of beer?
Yeah.
They were getting hit with that. Water bottles were getting thrown in faces. Chair fights out on the concourse. They were getting hit up against the plexiglass, I think, that was there. I mean, they were just they were beating the hell out of each other. And Madman Fulton won, but he got a little bit of help. And that makes you seem like, you can't handle your own business. If you're a champion and you need help from somebody, it makes you look a little weak.
Yeah.
But I will say this, out of character here for them, I did go up and get a picture with them afterwards, and they are very nice.
They're very nice.
I'm just pointing this out. They are very nice people, but fuck 'em. You can't cheat and be a champion, Madman. I slammed my hand. I actually hurt my hand a little bit. I couldn't be a professional wrestler for others.
Good treatment. Ow!
It was a pretty wild time, though. Overall, the night was great. I converted the people I was with as wrestling fans. Both Big Mama and Big Daddy Woo Woo said they wanted to go to the next one.
Yeah.
My girlfriend said she wants to be at the next one. My dad was having a great time. He was talking to everybody. He bought some merch from Carson Drake. Got a autograph from Madman Fulton. Was talking to everybody. He was having a great time. So we're all planning on going to the next event, which I'm going to go ahead and announce because it was on Facebook. It's May 14th, right?
Yeah.
That's what I said earlier. And it's in Moro, Ohio, I think is what I said.
Yes.
And it's called their Legends and All-Stars. And I'm very excited because the plan is I'm going to be able to make it there. And again, will not be able to due to previous engagement obligations.
Yeah.
But
if you listen to my ad, you'll
Yeah,
know that obligation.
yeah, he's DJing a wedding. I don't know why
Yeah,
we're trying
so-
to say that. And unfortunately, that was planned way in advance, so he won't be able
Yeah.
to make it. But I plan on being there. My dad could possibly be there. My girlfriend, Big Mama, and Big Daddy Woo Woo could be there. It's going to be the same group, and we're going to go again. It's a little bit further away for us. It's about an hour and 15 minutes away. But I would make that drive. If this means anything, I would make that drive to go to this event because
Yeah.
I have a feeling it's going to Legends and All Stars. I have a feeling what I seen last time, what I seen on Saturday at Battle on the Border, Night of Champions. It was. I can only imagine what this next show will be.
Hey, if I didn't have to DJ, I'd make that truck out there too.
I mean, 300 people were at this thing.
Jesus.
I mean, and the crowd was so loud throughout the whole night. I mean, they did not.
That's good.
Yeah, they did not let a single match go flat. There was just people were engaged. They were watching. And I mean, it was a a really great time. I mean, there was not a single boring moment for me. Like I said, getting to explain wrestling to 3 people got a little overwhelming for me at times, but they learned quick. And Brian Pillman won my girlfriend over, and now I'm going to have to forever hear about that. So that's great.
Yeah.
Big, like I said, Big Mama and Big Daddy Woo Woo loved it. So I mean, you have converted some wrestling fans. And I think some dedicated ones because they said today that they would be willing to go. So we'll see, and I'm excited for the next one. And Deno, if you're listening, great show. I can't wait to have you on again. And Carson Drake, if you're listening, come on because I think Darren said earlier, he told me that he would love to have you on the podcast. He said he would love to. He would be respectful. He would be nice.
Let's just stick with having like Super Oprah or somebody else. That's not Carson Drake.
You don't want no Carson Drake on the. I feel like he would be. You guys would get along.
Because we're assholes.
No. You guys are both. You
assholes.
guys are both. You know something. You know something that he told my dad. You know how long he's been wrestling?
A year.
25 years.
He's 21. He's 21. How the hell he's been there 25 years?
I'm just saying.
Maybe 5.
He said
in high school. But
he told my dad that. Because my dad asked him, and he said 25 years, straight up, right away. And my dad thought, well, that seems weird.
He's 21 years old. There's no way he's been wrestling for 25 years.
He might not have actually physically been alive for that long, but he basically has the wrestling experience of a 25-year-old. Carson Drake is going to be a future champion. If you guys watch AEW wrestling, the closest thing I can say that he's like is MJF. Carson Drake would probably argue that he's better. We'll see.
Well, you know that. He'll argue with anything.
If you watch WWE, the closest thing I would compare him to is like The Miz. He's a very cocky dude. He just believes in himself. You want the guy to not believe himself? You want him to go out there and like, oh, I respect everybody.
I'd take him on.
That's you. Well, you better listen. I know he only lasted 2 seconds in the Battle Royal. I know he lost to Brian Pillman.
Well, that's not surprise, but
but I mean, listen. And I know he lost to Paxton Lynch last time he came. But listen, Carson Drake is a good professional wrestler. I mean, he is the future.
0-10.
Well, I mean, I don't know what his official record is. That when we've seen him, he's technically 0-3 if you count the Battle Royal. But I mean, hey, listen, there was a lot of things going on. Brian Pillman, dude, one of Brian Pillman's family members got some chops, and that should have been a disqualification. Carson Drake should have won. As far as the Battle Royal goes, the crowd was messing with him. He got him distracted, got him off his game. So, I mean, you can't really blame.
Because he was afraid to go in the ring.
Well, I mean, hey. He did not say he was not scared to go in the ring. He said, what's the point of going in the ring? Because then you lose. So it's good strategy. Kind of just walk around on the outside.
Because he knew he was going to lose.
Then he let the fans get to his head. And then he met Robert Conway, I believe.
Yeah, because he knew he was going to lose.
Listen, man.
Otherwise, you'd go running straight, nose dive right into that motherfucker.
Listen, man. I mean, you're just gonna when he's future world champion.
When he's on the podcast.
I mean, King Bomani, come on.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Super Oprah.
That would be awesome.
I mean, anybody.
Except for.
That's who I want the most is Carson Drake, dude. I would love that. But I mean, I'm not, hey, listen, we're a Double D podcast here, and we'll have everybody and anybody on. We've said that before.
Yeah.
We'll have any and everybody on. So we got to
Yeah.
stick to our word on
Anybody and everybody.
any
You
and
ain't wrong.
everybody. So we are sticking
Alright.
to that word.
Hopefully, maybe we can get somebody on. Shit.
I mean, if you're listening, guys, just feel free to reach out to us.
We'd love to do phone call or person, whatever. Totally up to you.
And, make sure Battle on the Border, May 14th. There'll be more information about that as we get closer. But go follow Battle on the Border Pro Wrestling on Facebook.
Yep.
You can find them on Twitter. It's also Battle on the Border Pro Wrestling. If you search that, I found it. And on Instagram, it's the same thing. I found it. And make sure to follow us. You can follow us at on TikTok. It's the Double D Podcast 1. On Instagram, it's the_D_podcast. You can follow my personal Twitter, which is DJDub00. And
then our email is Double D Podcast.
The
Double D Podcast 123
I
at
remembered it.
gmail.com.
I remembered it at this point.
And then if you just love me, add me on Snap.
Carson Drake.
1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Carson Drake, I want you, if you're listening to
Follow
this,
it.
I want you to add him on Snap, and I want you to send him a fucking mean-spirited video.
You won't do it.
He can't. I can't believe you.
Ain't nobody can handle this.
You kind of sound like a pro wrestler right now.
No one can handle this.
I mean,
That's why he won't do it.
I'm just saying, I'll come. We'll see. All right. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share with your friends. See ya.
Bye.